Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dillon, I'm your host, and today, guys, let's talk about careers in construction and engineering, what that looks like, and is it here to stay? So the long and short answer is going to be yes, it's here to stay, mainly because of how our permit process, our legal process works for construction, who takes responsibility for those projects, and ultimately how they get put together. So unless we have some big sweeping legal reform across all 50 states, which good luck, trying to change any laws, like let alone your dog park, think about construction, this is, it's not going to change anytime soon. You need a licensed professional to sign and seal drawings. You need a licensed professional to do all of that. You need somebody to sign off on it and take responsibility for the project. And then you need, really in any public works project, unless this bidding process changes, you need three numbers. And because of that, you're going to have a design team do it. They're going to traditionally interview a whole bunch of design teams, pick one, and then, then that goes to market, right? They go through the design process. So unless any of these, I won't say fixed, but legal pieces and how contracts have to get formed and put together change, which very unlikely, engineering is always going to be around. Construction in our built environment always going to be around. Even though we're talking about data centers, it's like people still need places to go. Stadiums still need to get rebuilt. Hotels need to get built and designed, right? Like you've got let's take Las Vegas, which I know is an outlier, but you take Vegas, you've got $1 billion casino going up in the Hard Rock, right? The one shaped like a guitar is, you now start to see the structure and shape of the guitar as I was just down there like a month ago. Then you've got the new A's Stadium that's getting built there, another $2 billion project. You've got the other hotel that's going to get completely renovated, gut and remodel there in Vegas. Let's call that another billion. So you got like $5 billion worth of projects and 3 projects in Vegas. So it may not be that much, but a couple $1 billion. So it's significant capital investments in construction in one city. Granted, again, Vegas is an outlier, but you're having like in Reno, they're having a ton of other investments. Sacramento's building their new hospital, and you can see all that healthcare infrastructure going in. You see across really the country a ton of like senior living facilities getting put up. Those aren't going to go away because y'all are living longer and getting older. So those facilities aren't going to go anywhere. You have road construction that's always going to be there because people are still going to want to travel. So even though like the office work and our daily jobs are going to change, through the use of technology, even like software developers, that need for programmers and people to actually put hardened technology systems in place is going up, even with the use of AI coding, because now you're actually building more software to do more things. So you need more people to manage all those projects of the software that you're building and implementing and using AI to do. So because really how companies see it is, well, I could never find, let's say you needed 10 guys. Well, they can maybe only find 5 or 6. So now they can find the 5 or 6, but then they supercharge those 5 or 6 with all the AI coding agents and whatever. So now that 5 or 6 really turns into 20, so they can do more of the projects that are on their list that have been stacking up forever. And then always with anything, you build it, you're like, well, now that we got that done, we can do this, this, and this. And so your list of needs or wants just keeps expanding. And so the need even for software developers has gone up because of this. And then one person can really do the work of 4 or 5 with the use of these AI coding assistants. So you're seeing the demand for a lot of jobs, a lot of engineering, a lot of smart people, talent is going up. It's not going down. And so even like salespeople and things like that, again, because the company creation is going to go up, you're going to have more companies go up because a single person can do more. They're not so worried about like their accounting or bookkeeping or anything like that, where they can get help or a fairly inexpensive bookkeeper, or things like QuickBooks allow them to take payments easily. So somebody can spin up their own company fairly easily or easier than it has been in the past. Like just forming an LLC historically was a hard thing to do, right? You didn't have the paperwork or the ease of use. You had to go to like the county clerk's office to file all this stuff, or, go to the Secretary of State. So you had to go into their office and fill out paperwork and all this stuff, 50, 60 years ago. Now you do it online in 2 clicks and it's done. So a lot of how business is done is going to change. But when we look at even the construction industry, again, how I've said it for years is us as engineers are compilers of information, right? We take all this good information, the owner requirements, codes from all these different sources of information, take them together, and then put a set of drawings together that can ultimately be built on, right? Or at least bid from. So then the owner has one set of drawings, a single source of truth. They go out, everybody bids from those drawings and gives a number based on that single source of truth. So that allows, fairness in bidding and everything else. But at the end of the day, it comes down to compilation of data, right? Pulling manufacturers, codes, best practices, and then we add in BIM and coordination to that, right? Then how does all the other parts and pieces fit into the building? How do those pieces work? A lot of this ends up being somewhat automatable, but you still got to have it's all this data agglomeration and across not database accessible resources, right? It's not like the AI can go into some of like our calculation software that's still specified because it was built 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that doesn't have an API, is not accessible. You're just going to have to sit down and do the thing, right? Then you've got, yes, Revit, and Revit has an API that is accessible that you can draw stuff in, but do you have your criteria set up to be able to put into it, right? And then because it is a API-based system, but it's not able to be tested like through the web or anything, and the geometries, like you actually have to open Revit to test it. It's not like agents are going to be able to map all these things clearly over to Revit, because again, it was built 20 years ago and it's just been expanded upon. The code base has never been rebuilt from the bottom up for Revit. So you have like a lot of legacy things that are not going to be easily adapted into the new AI way of doing things, from like even just a code base, let alone adding software on top of it. So when we think about construction and disparate data systems, from 2D drawings to 3D to then being able to look at something and does this coordinate? Or I don't actually have a clearance zone in front of our electrical panels, but we know that it's 3 to 4 feet depending on conditions of where that panel goes. Okay, all right, we've got, our clearances, or we don't have our clearances because it's not always built into every single family across, the thousands of families and variances that people have created over the years. So as far as an engineer goes, we're still going to be needed. We're not going away. Yes, some of our like mundane tasks and those pieces are going to change and evolve, right? I mean, like software that we have in-house, a lot of those mundane, simple tasks kind of go away for some of our projects. But then our more complex ones, like you have to know more embedded codes, design criteria, and just historical experience that you've gained over the years from however many projects you've done as to how you attack those projects. What are the materials that you can use out there? What are the ways that we can build this thing and put it together? So it's almost like, well, in our world anyway, for design build, that master craftsman that, an architect used to be, right? The master builder, where you would know how, not only how to design it, how it flowed, like the Frank Lloyd Wrights of the world, right? Where he designed it. He was also like the superintendent of the work for those projects. That's in a way what some of this design build is, right? You're choosing more and more materials. You're not necessarily, for us, I mean, we work with our contractors to see what they can get, what we can procure, but by knowing more materials and the questions to ask, we can have these supply chain questions. We can have basically more in-depth answers to, medium voltage cable, for instance, right? What is the most linear feet of a given cable that you can put on a reel from Southwire, right? What does that footage look like from 250 MCM to 500 MCM? What is the footage that we can actually put on the reel? Because then that'll depend or dictate to us how far we need to put our junction boxes or our splice boxes for medium voltage cable away from each other so that we can do full pulls without any splices between all of the points that we have on a campus, right? Is it 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 5,000 feet? Like, how much cable can we put on an actual reel that we can then pull the wire from, right? Very different conversation than like your traditional engineering, because we have to think about these things from a procurement standpoint, or at least having, for us, our contractors ask those questions to their suppliers so that they can think about this, what's the lead time on it? Is it short? In EC&M, there was just one of the guys from Southwire wrote an article about long lead times for medium voltage cable, right? It's not a 2-week thing anymore. So these are all things that we got to think about. And as engineers, the more information that we have, the better off we're going to be. And it gives us some job security in what we're doing ultimately, but we're not going to go away, right? The evolution of it might change, and how we do some things are going to evolve for sure. But realistically, like, we still need contractors to build things. Contractors need us in a way to design it out, make sure it's all code compliant, run all the calculations, do all the behind the scenes stuff so that we can create the drawings and blueprints for them. So they in the field just have to go and build it, right? They do some coordination, but a lot of that is taken care of using the software tools that have been developed and that we're able to use and that time has been put into. So at the end of the day, your career as an engineer in any discipline is pretty safe. You're able to, so long as you're good, like, and this is that caveat, right? Like, you do have to like actually apply yourself in your job. But if you show up, you learn, you absorb information, you research or read things even outside of work, you're going to move up faster. But even if you just show up to work, learn the things that you're taught on the job, really absorb that information, become a good student, like, you're going to do just fine and have a long career ultimately, right? Like, I don't see this going away anytime soon. AI is not going to replace engineers. And frankly, most of the jobs that AI has replaced, it's really just enhancing everybody for that, right? Because AI can do more marketing, you actually, or improve your marketing, you do more marketing, right? It allows you to now hire a team because the price of that individual component has probably come down. So where historically, think to the 60s or Mad Men, you had to hire this big ad agency to do anything, to run an ad on TV, cost you millions of dollars to do, or just a production to film it cost $200,000 before you even put it on the air, and that was no air time to run an ad, right? It cost you millions of dollars to do. Well, today with Facebook, you can run campaigns for as low as like $10 a day. So for $300 a month, granted, you're not going to get much data off of that, but you can run campaigns for fairly little money today that you were never able to in the past, which has spawned a ton of creative agencies, ad agencies, and create a whole industry for social media marketing and ad agencies that never existed before. So I think with AI and all this technology, it's just going to create different and more industries. And yeah, sure, some things may or may not go away, but realistically, it's just going to be more of what we already have. And then another layer of data and information that we can do things with that we hadn't done before. Just going to be another brain for us, right? Like searching through emails and like, hey, I forgot about this thing. Show me the email that has all that information in it, right? That is going to be better contextualized, better search effectively. That's what that comes down to, or summaries of like meetings, things like that, right? We're ultimately going to be better for it. So that's all to say. As an engineer, your job's safe. In construction, I'm pretty sure your job is safe. Again, so long as you're good at your job, you show up on time and all those fun things, right? That's, I hope without saying, but we still got to say that. So be good at your job, do it, care, and you'll be able to have growth in whatever field that you go into.